I mean, let's get right into it. So, Jaron Ennis versus Eimantis Stanionis. I got to ask you because I think a hardcore fight fan, somebody who understands what these two fighters bring, would say this is potentially a 50-50 fight. But obviously, Jaron's your guy. How do you see this fight playing out? Do you view it as 50-50 or do you favor Jaron?
I think that, if you're looking at the Chudazian fight, then it's giving people hope. And, although Tom Brown said, well, we've been chasing this fight, we never received a phone call before for Stanionis to fight Boots. We did receive that phone call after the Chudazian fight, and I think it gave people a lot of confidence. If Boots performs like he did against Chudazian, it's a very, very dangerous fight. If he performs to the ability that we believe and know he has, he looks absolutely sensational and announces himself as a pound-for-pound star of the sport. But I love what Stanionis brings. What he said there, all gas, no brakes. This guy is relentless, tough, great engine. He's a fantastic fighter. And you're right what you said about hardcore fight fans. Everybody who knows boxing knows that this is not just maybe a 50-50. This is probably the best fight of the year so far. And I think you'll get a tremendous matchup.
Eddie, I got to ask you because I was there yesterday in New York City with
I heard your question.
Thank you.
You actually answered the question in your question, which I thought was very good.
Well, I appreciate that. What did you think about the fact that those two ladies went back and forth and just that whole thing? It's not normal for them.
Yeah, good. I mean, look, I think there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. No one talks about the fact that we had to give up Amanda Serrano walking second in certain situations at the press conference and the fight and the weigh-in when Katie Taylor is the champion. She's the undisputed champion. We had to come down to 136 pounds for this fight, which is not a problem, by the way, but we still were very cordial in the negotiations, especially when it's 2-0, especially when Katie Taylor is the champion. But more importantly, like you said in your question, the WBC do not allow 3-minute rounds. And if you fight a 3-minute round contest, you will be stripped of your title, right? We ain't getting stripped. We're undisputed. That's the dream of Katie Taylor. So it's not even really, she'd fight 3-minute rounds, she'd fight 5-minute rounds. But the reality is, the rules are, it's 2 minutes. She also made a very valid point. Amanda Serrano has boxed a few 3-minute round fights. They weren't very exciting to watch. I'm telling you, the 2-minute format is exciting. It's all action. 3-minute rounds will actually slow the pace down for women's boxing. And I'm not saying we don't need to keep evolving. I'm not saying at some point we don't have to look at that. But on a platform like that, you've had 2 fights that have been incredible. You don't need to change it. This fight will be incredible. It will be another fight of the year. But make one thing clear. It's 2-0 to Katie Taylor. And it will be 3-0 in July. And when Amanda says, millions of people, everyone saw that I won that fight. No, they didn't. Everyone saw 2 brilliant competitive fights that were like this. They're 6-4 fights, either way. And on both occasions, I thought the judges got it spot on. We're entitled to our opinion, they're entitled to their opinion. But look, they're 2 legends of the sport. It's a tremendous, tremendous fight. And, hopefully it can sell out and give it the night that it deserves.
Gotcha.
Eddie, how does it feel? You mentioned the 10,000 here on Saturday night. You did what you did in Philly. How does it feel to have options for a fighter, not just one local place, whether it's in Philly, you have options out of Atlantic City, Philadelphia. Not many fighters can do that.
And I'll tell you what, it's not just Philly and Atlantic City. I think this works for Jaron in New York, in Atlanta, and you look at the success that Gervonta Davis has had. I mean, look, we don't always get on, but Gervonta Davis is a huge ticket seller. And he's proven that in Vegas, in the Barclays Center, in Atlanta, and Boots can do the same as well. And, for me, it was a little bit of a risk when we decided not to do this fight in Philly. I feel that sometimes, I love homecomings, right? But sometimes as a fighter, it's a huge amount of pressure to keep fighting at home. And although this is an hour away or an hour and a half away, I just felt that we needed something a little bit different. I've wanted to do a fight at the Ball Hall. Tom reminded me, I was here when Froch fought Andre Ward. I was here when Darren Barker fought Martinez, when Gavin Rees fought Adrian Broner. And every time I looked around the place, it's steeped in history. And this fight deserves a venue like this. And I think it's a major moment for the sport to bring a packed house back to Atlantic City. and hopefully, we can bring big fights here in the future.
Well, I was going to ask, do you think this is the fight that can resurrect Atlantic City back to the glory days?
Honestly, I think that some people forget this place even exists as a fight venue, right? I mean, you've got, I know during the week sometimes it can be a little bit quiet, but this place lights up at the weekend. Look at the facilities you've got. It's kind of like a Vegas experience. You've got theatres like this. You can do the weigh-in here tomorrow. You've got the Boardwalk Hall. You've got other arenas as well that are a little bit smaller if you need them. And we know, look, fight fans in New Jersey and around the areas are very knowledgeable people. They know great fights, and that's why they're coming on Saturday, because it's a great fight.
Eddie, what do you make of Jake Paul's comments about his call with Anthony Joshua that he said yesterday? And I mean, provide some clarity on that situation that he said maybe next year could happen. Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure they had a conversation. I know they did, and they probably said, yeah, we'll fight next year. And AJ went, cool. And that was probably it. I mean, on one hand, Jake Paul's talking about fighting Gervonta Davis, who's 135 pounds. And then on the other hand, he's talking about fighting a 260 pound monster in Anthony Joshua. Listen, he's crazy enough to probably do it all if the money's right. But we're not really interested in waiting until 2016. And we're certainly not basing our career around a potential fight with Jake Paul, but if we were offered it, why not? I mean, it would be such an easy night's work, and it would be massive. And Jake's smart. Look, I know that we have our back and forth. Jake's improving as a fighter, and you have to respect the fact that he's dedicated not just to the business, but also to the hard graft of boxing. I still don't think he's particularly good, but he's a decent, some level fighter. But he's crazy. At first, I always felt that Jake was just using these people's names. I think he's got that many people around him that I wouldn't be surprised if he thinks he's got a chance against Anthony Joshua. Jake, I watched him, Jake. You'll knock him out. Yeah. It's like, But, there's a difference between fighting Gervonta Davis, even Canelo Alvarez, and then fighting AJ. The other two you can get just humiliated and schooled and beaten up a little bit. The other one you can be fully decapitated in. So you've got to be careful and you've got to be smart. And I know you want the money, I know you want the big moments, but this ain't a game. And that's a fight. If AJ hits Jake Paul like he hit Francis Ngannou, I don't even want to joke about it. I mean, this is a very dangerous sport.
Eddie, just wanted you to clarify the whole Bivol Beterbiev situation. Obviously, Benavidez was crowned champion by the WBC. They vacated Bivol's title. What are your thoughts around that whole situation?
Very straightforward. We have a contract, and more importantly, we gave our word that we will fight Beterbiev again. His Excellency has done a tremendous job for Dmitry Bivol. We've had 4 fights in the kingdom. When we lost a very close fight against Artur Beterbiev, His Excellency went out and made the rematch when he didn't have to. And part of that deal was, if we win, there'll be a third fight for Artur Beterbiev. So I was very surprised at the speed of the order. Don't forget, Dmitry Bivol had only just won the WBC title. You always get grace as a champion. It wasn't like this was ordered way back and, Benavidez has been waiting. He only just beat Morel, and it's like, right, boom, negotiations, boom, purse bid, boom, telling people the public offer. I mean, when has there ever been a time where, someone from the organisation is publicly telling about the offer that Dmitry Bivol would receive? It's quite bizarre, actually. And it's like trying to put pressure on him to take the fight. The money's nowhere near the money that he's going to make to fight Beterbiev, but it doesn't matter if the offer was 20 million. We have a contract, and we also have our word, which is our bond, which we don't ever go against. And we will be taking the third fight, and we will be fighting with His Excellency because he's given Dmitry the greatest opportunity. And by the way, in my opinion, and it's very difficult for Maurizio and the WBC because you're under a huge amount of pressure from all different parties pushing, and it's very important that the greatest fights in the sport are allowed, and they supersede sometimes a mandatory obligation. For me, Bivol Beterbiev is the greatest fight in the division. We've seen 2 of the best fights I've ever seen. Why wouldn't you allow the third for Undisputed? But look, everybody's got their rules. We are where we are. We're talking now to Louis de Cubas about David Benavidez against Callum Smith. I think it's a tremendous fight. Callum Smith's the WBO interim champion. He's also mandatory. And I guess we'll make that fight, hopefully. And then we look forward to Bivol against Beterbiev 3.
Thank you so much for watching this video, and make sure to subscribe for more videos of your favorite fighters over here on Fight Up TV. And give us a follow online as well at Fight Up TV on Twitter and on Instagram. We appreciate it, guys.